What if I told you that one of the most heinous crimes is rampant across the globe, and many of these cases go unreported? In every corner of the world, in countries rich and poor, developed and developing, a dark menace lurks. A crime that not only breaks bodies but spirits, a crime that is as old as humanity itself. We're talking about rape. Across the globe, millions of people, predominantly women and girls, are victims of this horrendous act. But the tragedy doesn't end there. Many of these crimes are never reported, and the perpetrators walk free, their actions unpunished. This is not a problem confined to any one region or culture. It's a global crisis, a violation of human rights that knows no borders. In the vast and diverse nation of India, for instance, the brutal rape and murder of a young trainee doctor recently sparked outrage and protests, highlighting the ongoing issue of violence against women. Despite efforts to improve safety and address gender-based violence, the country continues to grapple with high rates of rape and domestic violence, low conviction rates, and inadequate protection for women in public spaces. Meanwhile, across the Atlantic, in England and Wales, the number of reported rape offences has been on the rise since the early 2000s. This increase is attributed to improved reporting practices and victims' increased willingness to come forward. However, it's important to remember that these numbers likely represent only the tip of the iceberg, with many more cases going unreported. Even in the United States, a nation often seen as a beacon of progress and human rights, crime remains a significant concern. Despite declines in violent and property crime rates since the 1990s, public perception often believes crime is increasing nationally. Among these crimes, rape and sexual violence continue to be pressing issues. These are just a few examples. The grim reality is that rape is a pervasive issue worldwide, with countless victims suffering in silence. As we delve into this topic, keep in mind that these numbers represent real people, real victims, and real suffering. Now let's turn our attention to the countries with the highest recorded number of rape cases. Firstly, we have India, a nation that has been in the global spotlight for its struggle with gender-based violence. Despite efforts to improve safety, India continues to grapple with high rates of rape and domestic violence. The brutal rape and murder of a trainee doctor in Kolkata has reignited anger and protests, highlighting the ongoing issue. The Supreme Court of India has emphasized the urgent need for systemic changes to ensure women's safety and rights, but the pervasive societal norms and lack of effective measures contribute to the challenges faced by women in India. Next, we look at England and Wales. Statistics have shown a steady increase in reported rape offences in these regions from 2002 up to the present day in 2024. This rise is attributed to improved reporting practices and victims' increased willingness to come forward. Yet this increasing trend is a stark reminder that despite progress, there is much work to be done. Then, there's the United States. While the data shows a decline in violent and property crime rates since the 1990s, this doesn't necessarily mean that the country is free from rape cases. In fact, the perception of crime often contradicts the official data, with many Americans believing that crime is increasing nationally. This discrepancy between perception and reality underscores the need for more nuanced and comprehensive data. These countries are just a few examples of the global issue at hand. It's important to note that these figures are based on reported cases, and many instances of rape go unreported due to various factors such as social stigma and fear of retaliation. The numbers are shocking, but they are not the whole story. What contributes to these high numbers? Is it purely a question of crime, or are societal and cultural factors at play? As we delve deeper into this issue, it becomes apparent that societal norms, cultural practices, and systemic issues play a significant role in contributing to the high number of rape cases in these countries. Take India, for example. Despite efforts to improve safety and address gender-based violence, the country continues to struggle with high rates of rape and domestic violence. Why is that? An article from the New York Times hints at pervasive societal norms and inadequate protection for women in public spaces. The struggle for women's safety and rights is heightened by a lack of effective measures to combat violence. In the case of England and Wales, the rise in reported rape offences, as evidenced by Statista, could be attributed not only to the actual increase in incidents, but also to improved reporting practices and victims' increased willingness to come forward. This suggests that the societal stigma around rape is slowly decreasing, allowing more victims to seek justice. Meanwhile, in the US, the perception of crime often exceeds the reality, as shown by data from the Pew Research Center. While crime rates have actually decreased, the public perception is that crime, including rape, is on the rise. This discrepancy may be due to societal fear and misinformation, skewing the public's understanding of the actual situation. What these examples illustrate is that societal and cultural factors are deeply intertwined with the issue of rape. From societal norms that may indirectly condone violence, to systemic issues that hinder effective response, to cultural practices that may perpetuate gender inequality, these factors collectively contribute to the high incidence of rape in these countries. As we can see, the issue goes beyond individual acts of violence and implicates societal structures and norms. To truly address and combat rape, these underlying societal and cultural issues must be acknowledged and confronted. While these numbers are staggering, they likely only scratch the surface of the true extent of the problem. We must acknowledge the elephant in the room: underreporting. The reality is that the reported figures on rape and sexual assault are just the tip of the iceberg, with many cases going unreported due to the stigma associated with these heinous crimes. Victims of sexual assault often grapple with feelings of shame, fear, and guilt, which can deter them from coming forward. Societal norms and attitudes further compound this problem, fostering a culture of silence and victim blaming in many parts of the world. This stigma can be so overwhelming that it silences the victims, leaving them to suffer in solitude. Let's consider the data. According to a study by the National Crime Victimization Survey, in the United States, nearly 2/3 of rapes and sexual assaults go unreported. A similar trend can be seen globally. In England and Wales, for instance, it's estimated that only about 1 in 6 victims of rape or attempted rape report the crime to the police. In countries like India, the situation is even more dire. Despite the alarming rates of violence against women, many victims remain silent, often due to fear of backlash or ostracization from their communities. This is a grim reminder of the deep-seated cultural and societal norms that continue to perpetuate violence against women. The disparity between reported and estimated cases is a glaring indication of the extent of underreporting. This discrepancy underscores the urgent need for a cultural shift. It's crucial to create an environment where victims feel safe and supported to come forward, and where perpetrators are held accountable. The silent victims are a chilling reminder of the fear and shame that often surrounds this crime. Let's remember that behind each unreported case is a person who has been denied justice, a person who carries an untold story. By addressing underreporting and stigma, we can bring these stories into the light and make strides toward a world where no voice goes unheard. How can we, as global citizens, contribute to tackling this pervasive issue? Education and awareness are key tools in combating the scourge of rape. To address this issue, we must first understand it in all its complexity, recognizing it as a symptom of deeper societal problems. Education is crucial in changing societal attitudes towards rape. It's about teaching respect, consent, and empathy from an early age. It's about debunking myths that perpetuate victim blaming and normalize violence. Schools, colleges, and community centers can play a significant role in this, fostering a culture of respect and equality. Awareness campaigns can also be powerful tools to break the silence around rape. They can encourage victims to report crimes, assure them they are not alone and that help is available. They can also challenge stereotypes and prejudices that often surround rape victims. Initiatives worldwide are working towards these goals. For instance, programs that provide comprehensive sex education, including discussions about consent, are a step in the right direction. Hotlines, counseling services, and support groups offer crucial support for victims. Legal reforms are also essential, ensuring justice is served and that laws protect victims rather than further victimize them. Moreover, media plays an essential role in shaping public opinion. Responsible reporting can contribute to changing perceptions and sparking conversations about rape. It's about portraying the issue accurately, empathetically, and respectfully, without sensationalism or victim blaming. But these initiatives are only as effective as the support they receive. We all have a role to play here. By educating ourselves and others, we can help to change attitudes. By supporting victims and initiatives that work to combat rape, we contribute to a safer society. In conclusion, education and awareness are not just about understanding the issue of rape. They're about sparking a cultural shift towards more empathetic, respectful, and equal societies. They're about empowering every individual to stand against violence and injustice. Remember, knowledge is power. It's up to us to educate ourselves and others to bring about a world where no one has to be a silent victim.